Morning, my name is John, and this is the Homestead Diary. It is an absolutely glorious day today. Bright and sunny, in the 50s, the ice is melting off. I'm really pleased about that. I don't mind the ice so much for a short period of time, but there comes a time when it's got to go. And we need to get back to it, back to working outside, back to tending what needs to be tended. And I love it. Been doing a lot of thinking for a long time about the Gleaners. For those of you who don't know, Gleaners is an organization that takes waste streams and it manages them for the benefit of people who are low income or lower income, not necessarily poor people, but people who might be able to use a little hand, or maybe they're eating well, but they could use a little bit more, or they could use a little something that they wouldn't normally get. And Gleaners provides that. They contract with different stores and farmers and food banks to basically take the excess, and then they distribute it to their members. Pretty cool idea, obviously biblically based. Don't harvest the edge of your fields, because the poor will come and glean what's there. And so it's an important thing, and Gleaners provide an important service for a lot of people. And we've been members of the Gleaners for 8 years, going on 9 years now. And about 4 years ago, the then leadership called us one morning and said, we're burned out, we can't do it anymore, you're it. And so we took over, and we ran the best we could. And we had some support, but the organization had been barely hanging on for years. The people who were running it just were completely overwhelmed. They had a big farm to run, and they did the best they could, but it came to a point where they just said, we're out, we can't do it anymore. And so we took over an organization that was, I don't know, there were 15 families, I think, or maybe, no, there had been 15 families, and when we took over, there were 10, and it was failing, barely hanging on. And it was a pretty steep learning curve. You know, there was a lot that we didn't know, a lot that we had to learn, and we did remarkably well. A lot of people in the area came together and helped us. We literally went door to door, knocked on our neighbors' doors and said, hey, we've just been handed the reins of this thing. Here's what it is. Maybe you should think about joining it. And for the first year, that really sustained us. A lot of people who didn't really need the organization, but thought, well, let's help out the neighborhood. They joined in, and it's the whole thing of grab an oar and start paddling. And over time, a lot of them dropped out because they lost interest, and other people joined in. And it's interesting, the revolving door that the Gleaners is, and really the only constant in it is you always have new people. And even leadership rarely sticks around for more than a year or two. And it takes a lot of time. My wife and I were working each at least 40 hours a week for 4 years. And that's despite building a very strong team of very good people that we were blessed to work with. But over time, that team has changed, and we have changed. And there comes a point where you have to say, it's time to step away. And the whole nonsense scam of COVID benefited the Gleaners because a lot of free stimulus money was coming to the different food banks and the different programs. And so we got a lot of grants because of that. And we were able to take an organization that was $500 in debt. And in between what we did the 2 years before COVID started and the 2 years after, we built up asset bases and bank accounts. And really, our team was awesome, being able to help us create this new energy and this new life in the organization. But a couple of years ago, actually, just before all the scams started, I was telling my wife, I'm tired. We've done well. We've brought something from virtually nothing and shepherded it to new heights, and the team is strong, and it's time to move on. We need to do something different. But then COVID happened and we couldn't. We were needed, and the organization was needed more than ever. And it was good. It was a good run. We all ran really hard. The organization grew from 10 families to 80 families. And it was absolutely amazing to see that. So many people coming out. But we created a safe haven. We created this place where most of us, and not everybody, but most of us were aware of what was going on in the world, and we didn't want to be a part of it. And for those who were playing along, being compliant, whatever, we didn't shun them. We gave people a choice. And that was one of the really important things that attracted so many people to our organization so quickly, is we said, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel you need to do to be safe, that's you. As they say, you do you. And it's great. A lot of those people came and went, but we've had a large number of very strong individuals who feel that way come into the organization and come into the leadership. And also, about a year ago, I'd been feeling it for probably since 2016, 2017. I was feeling the call to get away from Oregon. After Trump was elected, the people in the Willamette Valley lost their minds. And it was absolutely incredible. I mean, neighbor against neighbor, all this kind of division nonsense. I mean, people were getting their windows busted out because they had a Trump sticker. And it's like, that's just stupid. That's not America. But anyway, not trying to get into a political discussion. But I was feeling the need to get to some place where there was more of a sense of purpose, more of a sense of who we are, more of a willingness to not just kowtow to the narrative, whatever that might be, and actually make your own decisions for your life. And I ran into, as I was doing searches on the internet and YouTube and whatnot, I ran into a couple of YouTube videos or channels. Viking Preparedness with Pastor Joe Fox is one, and then Bear Independent with TJ Morris is another. And they're a couple of gentlemen that live in the Ozarks and have these channels, and they talk about life, and they talk about togetherness, and they talk about being independent and self-sufficient and creating groups and how to survive, how to get away from the nonsense. And they talked a lot about the calling that a lot of people are feeling, in particular to this area, the Ozarks. There's a certain, I don't know how to put it. I understand that it's a very geologically stable region, so you don't have earthquakes and all that kind of stuff, volcanoes. It doesn't happen out of here. The mountains are old, the mountains are relatively short, and it's a stable place to be. And a lot of God-fearing folks live there, and a lot of God-fearing folks are moving out of the coastal areas and the cities, come out of her, my people, that sort of thing. And so I felt very strongly called to come here. And we had an opportunity. We had some things really fall into place that we weren't expecting, hoped they might, and it gave us an opportunity to buy a place out here. And I know I'm getting off the topic of the Gleaners, but that brings us to, we're here, and the Gleaners have been without my wife and I for 2.5 months, something like that. And I don't mean without us. I mean, we've been available by phone and video and email and all that kind of stuff. And so we've been available for consultation. But what is really comforting to see is the members of the organization who are in leadership are now starting to, I don't want to say they're trying to push us away, because it's not that at all. I don't get that feeling. But what I feel is they're starting to assert themselves, and they're starting to say, I can do this. I want to run with this. I want to take the lead on this. I want to take the lead on that. And these are things that we had suggested before and we had hoped for. And it's coming to fruition. And it's so exciting because we don't have to just quit and walk away and leave something in shambles like happened before. We have an opportunity to turn the organization over to good people, and whether or not we agree with their leadership styles, it's never been about us. It's never been about the individual. The organization was not ever owned by us, was not ever owned by the former leadership. It's a membership organization. The members own the assets, they own the operation, they own everything about it, including how it's run. And with my wife and I no longer there on a day-to-day basis, people are stepping up and stepping in, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud that the people in that organization are not looking to my wife and I for that strong leadership hand that was really desperately needed for a long time. Other people are taking the reins, and for that I say thank you. If you're one of those people and you happen to be watching this video, or you're one of the members or thinking about becoming a member, or maybe you're a former member, any of these places where you are might be in your life, know that, in my opinion, the organization is in capable hands. And there are going to be fits and starts and challenges and whatnot as they learn their roles and learn what to do. But they've been handed something, which, while it may have its difficulties and its problems and its challenges, they've been handed something that is functioning well and will continue to blossom, I think, under their leadership. And so I hope that that helps anybody who's wondering what's going on with the organization, if you do know something about it. And I hope that everybody succeeds, because while my wife and I will remain to be members, and we will remain available in regards to information, historical perspective, hey, we're having problems with this, how do you do that, whatever, we're here for you. We're just relieved that the burden of leadership no longer rests on our shoulders. God bless you all. Thank you.